The first presentation is on the FAO GM Foods platform. As you can see on the screen, the web address is quite simple, and then if you type FAO GM Food in the Google or any other search engines, then you will find our platform on the top of the list. This is actually the first database of this kind at FAO, focusing on GM foods. Before going further, first I would like to quickly explain the mandate of our organization. FAO's mandate can be explained in two words. Food security. Achieving food security for all is at the heart of FAO's effort. We are working against the world hunger and seriously aiming at the tough goal of eradicating the world hunger. But sometimes people ask us, what do we mean by food security? In fact, food security has been defined after a long discussion among member governments of FAO in 1996 at the FAO World Food Summit. I read this definition aloud. Food security exists when all people, at all times, have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. Our goal is to make sure people have regular access to enough high-quality food to lead active and healthy lives. I have highlighted three words on the screen. Sufficiency is of course the most important. We have to secure enough quantity of food for the world. Then, safety is of course important too. Just because there is not enough food available, providing non-safe food to the population is not acceptable. And for the same reason, the food should be nutritious. As you can see, these are the core three pillars, among others, of the concept of food security. So food safety is indeed a core mandate of FAO. And of course, today's topic of biosafety and the safety of GM foods becomes also quite important for FAO to work on. Now I would like us to go back to the FAO GM Foods platform. This is how the homepage of our platform looks like. As you can see, the platform is a very simple online platform to share information on safety assessment of GM foods. This platform also facilitates the effective utilization of food safety assessment in situations of low-level presence, as known as LLP, of GM crops in food. Once again, it has a very simple look. In fact, there is only one button on the first screen to start browsing. Of course, we have several menu items in the left side column also. The information about safety assessment of specific GM events are organized in 4 different ways to browse. First, by OECD unique identifier, which will be fully explained by our OECD colleague later. Then second, by commodity such as soy, maize, canola, and so forth. And third, by traits, the purpose of the modification. And fourth, by countries that share information on GM food safety assessment they have conducted. In addition, on the platform, we have a page for some lists of resources to help users understand more of the topic. I would like to give a brief background on why FAO has this platform. It is important to note that this platform activity is not something FAO staff like me is leading. I think the same can be said for my CBD and OECD colleagues. Our platforms and databases have been established and maintained based on the strong request or legal agreement of our members or parties. In FAO's case, the request came from the intergovernmental standard-setting body called Codex Alimentarius. This body was established by FAO and WHO members in 1960s. Codex has various committees and task forces that develop food safety and quality-related food standards. In late 1990s and early 2000s, Codex established an ad hoc task force on food derived from biotechnology. The task force developed various guidelines for the conduct of food safety assessment of GM foods, including plants, microorganisms, and animals. One of the documents on the GM plants, the Codex has adopted an annex on food safety assessment in situations of low-level presence of GM crops in food. 186 countries that are Codex members all agreed in the process of adopting this annex that all Codex members should make available to the publicly accessible central database to be maintained by FAO the information on food safety assessment of GM crops. So this is how Codex bound FAO to develop and maintain the database. Once again, please note that this decision came from the member countries' delegates to the Codex Alimentarius Commission in 2008. Now, I would like to show you the scope of the database we maintain. This slide is somewhat uniformed with other presentations following my presentation, so please keep this in mind. Green means included in the scope. Red means not included, meaning out of scope. And yellow means accepted, meaning that even though something is not a main focus of the platform or database, information can be accepted to be hosted by the platform or database. First, the type of documents. Once again, I am stressing that FAO platform scope is data and information on food safety assessment. Of course, if countries would like to share information regarding relevant laws and regulations, our platform is there to host such information. Second, the type of assessment. As you can easily imagine from the title of our platform, FAO GM Foods platform, our main focus is food. Environment issue is out of our scope. Some countries are sharing feed-related information, which actually often provide good information in line with our platform's purpose, because in the reality, sometimes feed crops might come into the food supply chain in certain situations. Third, type of organism. Currently, Codex request is only around GM plants. This may change in the future if we are to deal with many GM animals and GM microorganisms, but at this moment, FAO's focus is GM plants only. Also, FAO GM Foods platform does not collect information about field trials, because this is often the case that the food safety assessment is usually conducted after the field trials. Our focus is on commercialized food crops. So overall, you can see that the FAO GM Foods platform is very targeted in terms of its scope. This is intentionally done with various member countries' experts in order to avoid any possible information overload. FAO's core mandate is food safety, and Codex request is to share information on food safety assessment. So we strictly stick to the exact request that Codex asked FAO to do. Information for information is nice, but somewhat luxury. We think information for concrete actions is extremely useful, thus our very focused scope for the platform. FAO GM Foods platform is accessible by anyone. However, only focal points who are registered to the platform can upload data and information. Those focal points are officially nominated by FAO member governments. Once data and information are submitted by those focal points, FAO platform administrator checks the format and submitted data is published online. This is a very simple process, but this system ensures that only official information from the governmental agencies would come into the platform. Our data is once again free for anyone to use. However, we do not get any data feeds from outside. This is our validation system to make sure that only official data is on our platform. This morning, I saw the registered participants for today's webinar, and I see many of you are focal points of our platform, and I'm very happy to see you online here. I would like to talk about our platform community here. Once again, we have 186 Codex members. As Codex members agreed in 2008, we ask all 186 members to share information on the platform, and almost all have responded to initiate the process. As of October 2014, we have 156 focal points already registered. We do have some non-Codex members such as Andorra, Marshall Islands, Niue, San Marino, Timor-Leste, Tuvalu, and so forth. But they are also invited to share information on the platform. Currently, we have all GM plants producing countries in the community. Once again, we only host data and information submitted through official channel. Our focal points are mainly coming from Ministry of Agriculture, Health, Food Safety competent authorities. We do have some focal points from their national biosafety committees, Ministry of Environment, and so forth. Our platform's current challenges include that we are still in the process of populating the database. The FAO GM Foods platform was launched on the 1st of July in 2013, that is last year. We are receiving more and more data and information, and our aim to have all the backlog uploads on our platform by the end of 2015. We have observed that some countries are having administrative difficulties in nominating focal points to the platform due to the nature of the needs of multi-agency collaborations. Also, some countries are experiencing priority conflicts. For example, some countries having civil wars and extreme food insecurity conditions have informed us that they need time to settle all these priorities before engaging into the platform. This is something we fully understand. Another challenge is the language issue. Food safety assessment information at national level is of course available in that country in their language. We have observed some levels of reservation to share such document in non-UN languages. In this case, we encourage countries to share the information in their original language and provide a few lines of explanation in one of the UN official languages. For many countries, this seems to be working. And of course, at the host side at FAO, we face the issue of limited financial and human resources to maintain the platform, as regular budget does not cover this activity. However, so far we have been finding a good way to maintain the platform, and we are very confident to keep this level of maintenance for the next 10-15 years. For more information about FAO GM Foods platform, here are some list of the websites and then contact email addresses. And this concludes my presentation on the FAO GM Foods platform. This presentation file will be available online later, and you'll be informed by email that you have registered with. I'll be happy to take any questions in the chat box, and some of them will be addressed during the Q&A session after all the presentation. Thank you very much, and with this, I would like to hand over the microphone